Hey, Steelers Nation. We're back with an exclusive video packed with the latest updates on our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll never miss any exclusive updates or exciting Steelers news. All right, folks, buckle up because the NFL rumor mill is absolutely on fire right now. And this one might just be the biggest bombshell of the season. Reports are swirling that the Pittsburgh Steelers have managed to pull off one of the wildest moves in recent memory, snagging none other than A.J. Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, you heard that right. A.J. Brown, the powerhouse wide receiver, the guy who's been the heart and soul of the Eagles' passing game, might be heading to Pittsburgh. Nobody saw this coming. The whispers started late last night when several insiders began dropping hints about a major wide receiver transaction involving a top contender in the AFC North. Then, early this morning, leaks exploded across social media. Screenshots, tweets, and even a few cryptic emojis from players, all pointing toward this earth-shaking deal. If true, this would completely change the dynamics of both franchises. The Eagles would be losing their top offensive weapon, while the Steelers, who've been desperately searching for a game-changing receiver, could suddenly become a legitimate threat. Fans are already losing their minds, debating whether this is genius or insanity. And honestly, at this point, no one knows for sure. Now, let's take a second to really process what this means for the Steelers organization. This is a team that's been screaming for a big-time receiver ever since Antonio Brown left years ago, leaving a void that even talented young players like George Pickens couldn't fully fill on their own. With A.J. Brown in black and gold, the entire identity of this offense could shift overnight. Kenny Pickett, who's been under constant scrutiny for inconsistent play, would finally have a legitimate superstar target to throw to, a guy who could turn a 5-yard slant into a 50-yard touchdown. And for head coach Mike Tomlin, this might be the spark he's been waiting for to reignite the team's championship mentality. You can already imagine the energy in the locker room, the vibe in training camp, the sheer excitement that a move like this brings. But of course, it also raises questions. What did the Steelers give up to make this happen? Draft picks? Defensive pieces? Or did they somehow pull off a masterclass negotiation that leaves everyone stunned? Either way, this move screams ambition, and it tells the rest of the league that Pittsburgh isn't playing around anymore. Meanwhile, over in Philadelphia, fans are in absolute disbelief. Losing A.J. Brown, if this rumor holds true, would be nothing short of devastating. He wasn't just a receiver. He was a statement of dominance, toughness, and swagger. He transformed the Eagles' offense from good to elite, building an incredible partnership with Jalen Hurts that made defensive coordinators lose sleep. To see that connection ripped apart feels almost unthinkable. The question now is, why? Was it a contract issue, a locker room conflict, or maybe frustration brewing beneath the surface after recent struggles? Some insiders claim that tension had been quietly rising since the start of the season, especially after a few heated sideline exchanges that cameras caught, but commentators brushed off. Others suggest the Eagles might be trying to reset financially, freeing up cap space for future moves. Whatever the case, this potential trade feels seismic. Philadelphia fans are already demanding answers, calling into sports radio shows and flooding social media with heartbreak and disbelief. For a franchise that had its eyes set on another Super Bowl run, losing A.J. Brown could completely derail that dream. And let's not forget how this might shake up the rest of the AFC North. The Steelers have been hovering in that competitive middle ground, not bad enough to rebuild, but not explosive enough to dominate. Adding A.J. Brown could instantly elevate them to contender status. Imagine defenses having to account for his physicality, his route running, and his ability to win contested catches, all while still trying to contain Najee Harris on the ground. That's a nightmare scenario for defensive coordinators. And you can bet Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson are all paying attention right now. The division was already tight, but this kind of move could tilt the balance. Analysts are already speculating about how this could open up new offensive schemes for Pittsburgh. Deep play-action bombs, motion-heavy sets, and a return to the kind of aggressive football that made the Steelers so iconic. It's the kind of shift that can electrify a fan base and intimidate opponents. If this rumor turns out to be true, the ripple effects could be massive, not just in Pittsburgh, but across the entire NFL landscape. There's also the human side of this whole situation. A.J. Brown isn't just any player. He's one of those rare talents who plays with raw emotion, who wears his heart on his sleeve, who connects deeply with his teammates and fans. Leaving Philadelphia, a city that embraced him with open arms, would be emotional for sure. You can already imagine the farewell posts, the emotional goodbyes, and maybe even a cryptic Instagram story or two. And for the Steelers, they're not just getting a star athlete. They're getting a leader, a tone setter, a guy who demands excellence every time he steps onto the field. But can Pittsburgh's locker room handle that kind of fiery personality? Mike Tomlin is known for managing big egos, but this would test even his legendary composure. Still, you can't deny the potential upside. Brown's presence alone could elevate every receiver on the roster, giving the entire offense a confidence boost that's been missing for years. It's the kind of gamble that can either define a season or implode spectacularly. And honestly, that's what makes it so thrilling. As we wait for official confirmation, the NFL world is buzzing louder than ever. Every insider, every podcast, every sports page is dissecting this supposed trade from every possible angle. The Eagles' silence so far is deafening, and the Steelers' front office isn't saying a word, which, of course, only fuels the fire. Fans are refreshing their feeds every 5 seconds, desperate for that breaking news banner to flash across their screens. Could this be the dawn of a new era in Pittsburgh? Or is this just another internet wildfire that burns bright and fades fast? Either way, the rumor has already done its job. It's had everyone talking. And if by some miracle it's true, we might be witnessing one of the boldest, most shocking moves of the decade. The NFL thrives on chaos, and this is pure, unfiltered chaos at its finest. Stay tuned, because whatever happens next, it's going to be unforgettable. If this trade actually becomes official, the NFL landscape as we know it could shift overnight. Imagine the press conference. A.J. Brown standing there in black and gold, flashing that confident grin, with Mike Tomlin by his side talking about standard being the standard. The city of Pittsburgh would absolutely erupt. The Steel City hasn't seen a move this exciting in years, maybe decades. Fans who've been begging for offensive firepower would finally get what they've been dreaming of. But at the same time, this move would put enormous pressure on the Steelers to deliver immediately. You don't bring in a superstar like A.J. Brown just to keep playing .500 football. This would be a declaration of intent, a statement that the Steelers are gunning for the Lombardi Trophy again. The media frenzy would be wild. Sports talk shows running 24/7 coverage, fans debating trades and cap hits, and jerseys selling out overnight. And let's be honest, the idea of Brown torching defenses at Acrisure Stadium every Sunday would be must-watch television. The Steelers haven't had this level of buzz since the Killer Bees era, and this might just reignite that same magic, only this time with a new face leading the charge. But with every big move comes big risk, and make no mistake, this one would be massive. For the Steelers, it's not just about bringing in talent. It's about chemistry, culture, and expectations. A.J. Brown is used to being the focal point, and in Philly, he had an MVP-caliber quarterback feeding him the ball. Can Kenny Pickett replicate that connection? Can offensive coordinator Arthur Smith design a scheme that truly maximizes Brown's explosiveness? These are real questions. And from a financial standpoint, let's not forget Brown's contract. It's huge, and fitting that into the Steelers' cap sheet would require serious maneuvering. It can mean saying goodbye to some key defensive pieces or restructuring deals to make room. Fans love the excitement, but behind closed doors, the front office will be walking a tightrope between ambition and stability. Still, sometimes in the NFL, fortune favors the bold. If this gamble pays off, it could rewrite the Steelers' trajectory for the next 5 years. If it backfires, though, it could haunt them just as long. That's the razor's edge this rumor dances on. Thrilling, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, the Eagles' front office would be under siege. Trading away a superstar like A.J. Brown, especially after back-to-back playoff appearances, would send shockwaves through the organization. Jalen Hurts would suddenly be without his top target, his security blanket, the guy who bailed him out of tight situations time and time again. It would change the entire dynamic of their offense, forcing them to rely more heavily on Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, while possibly scrambling to find a replacement either via free agency or the draft. The city of Philadelphia doesn't take kindly to losing its stars, especially not ones as beloved as Brown. Fans would demand answers from General Manager Howie Roseman, questioning every move and every statement. Did they see something behind the scenes that we didn't? Was there falling out? Or was this purely a business decision in a league that rarely allows emotion to interfere with strategy? Whatever the case, the narrative around the Eagles would change dramatically, and the pressure on Hurts to carry this team without his star receiver would be enormous. This kind of move tests not just talent, but leadership, loyalty, and belief. And let's be honest, A.J. Brown himself would be walking into an entirely different environment in Pittsburgh. The culture, the weather, the expectations, everything would shift. In Philly, he was part of a high-octane offense that dominated through rhythm and tempo. In Pittsburgh, the game is grittier, more physical, more grounded in tradition and defense. But maybe that's exactly what he needs: a fresh start, a new challenge, a chance to write his next chapter in one of the league's most storied franchises. He's the kind of player who thrives on proving people wrong, and joining a team that's hungry for a resurgence could light a fire in him like never before. Picture it. 3rd and 8, snow falling, Heinz ketchup bottles waving in the crowd, and Brown hauling in a contested catch over 2 defenders to seal a win. That's the kind of energy Pittsburgh lives for. And if he can bring that same swagger, that same intensity, the city will embrace him instantly. The fit might not be perfect on paper yet, but in spirit, it feels like a match made in football heaven. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Of course, this would also send a message to the rest of the NFL that the Steelers are back to being aggressive. No more playing it safe. No more waiting for draft picks to develop. This would be a declaration that they're ready to win now. The AFC is stacked with firepower. Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Baltimore, it's a gauntlet. And for the Steelers to even dream about competing at that level, they need an elite offense to match their historic defense. A.J. Brown gives them exactly that. Imagine the highlight reels, the primetime matchups, the renewed rivalries. Suddenly, Steelers versus Ravens wouldn't just be a defensive slugfest, it'd be an aerial showdown. The marketing potential, the ticket sales, the energy, it all skyrockets. And from a league perspective, moves like this keep the NFL unpredictable, which is exactly why fans love it. Because on any given day, one blockbuster rumor can flip everything upside down, and this one, it feels like a storm brewing over the entire league. So as the day goes on and we all wait for official word, one thing's for sure. This rumor has shaken the foundations of the NFL. Whether it turns out to be true or not, the fact that it even feels possible says everything about how fast this league moves. 1 minute, a player's the face of franchise. The next, he's packing his bags for a new city, a new jersey, a new dream. A.J. Brown to the Steelers sounds almost unreal, like something out of Madden, but sometimes the craziest stories end up being the real ones. And if this happens, it won't just be a trade, it'll be a moment we remember for years, one of those "where were you when it broke" kind of moments. Until then, all we can do is keep watching, keep refreshing, and keep wondering, did the Steelers just pull off the heist of the decade? Because if they did, the entire NFL just got a whole lot more interesting. The social media storm surrounding Certain's rumored signing has reached a fever pitch, with fan-created content, highlight reels, and discussion threads dominating conversations across multiple platforms. Memes, polls, and hypothetical matchups are analyzed endlessly, illustrating just how deeply invested the community has become in this narrative. Analysts speculate that beyond his on-field capabilities, Surton's arrival could influence the Steelers' branding, marketing strategies, and fan engagement, creating a multi-layered impact that extends far beyond X's and O's. The rumor has become a storytelling phenomenon, with discussions about locker room chemistry, mentorship roles, and defensive identity weaving together into a larger narrative tapestry. While skeptics caution against overhyping a single player, the majority sentiment leans toward viewing Surton as a game-changer whose impact could extend beyond immediate statistics or isolated plays. Podcasts, YouTube channels, and news outlets dissect potential coverage schemes, rotation patterns, and complementary player pairings, fueling a constant stream of rumor-driven content. Fans speculate about how Surton might transform key games against divisional rivals, imagining decisive interceptions and pressure-inducing coverage that swing momentum. Industry insiders suggest that the team is already planning for long-term integration, viewing this acquisition as part of a broader strategy to build a defensive legacy. Meanwhile, debates about which coaches would benefit most from his presence, how schemes might evolve, and the potential ripple effects across the league continue to dominate discussions, making Pittsburgh a focal point for speculative sports narratives. Every new development, whether confirmed or rumored, is magnified in real time, creating a continuous feedback loop of anticipation, analysis, and excitement. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.